Hello, everybody. How are you doing? So, today I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in America and how it affects everybody else in the world. Because I live in Canada and, you know, I personally am enjoying what I'm seeing coming out of the United States. There's a few things that I don't agree with, such as their position on um, traditional families and that your only purpose here is to procreate. I don't agree with that, but you know, they're allowed to have that opinion if they want. It's just, to me, kind of a limited opinion. But aside from that, I am enjoying the truth reveal. But I want to talk about the truth reveal because there's a lot of things that are going to come out, and people are going to get all excited about the official story and see this as definitive, and it's not. So I'm gonna get into that a little bit later once we get more people in here. But yeah, like, everyone's all excited about the JFK, RFK, MLK. Are you okay? I'm okay. As well as COVID and 9/11, and getting the official story out that has been suppressed all of this time. And I have a very different opinion on what the actual truth is, but that doesn't mean that what they're releasing isn't also true. It can be true from a 3D perspective, in the sense that we're looking at this from the story perspective, but in terms of like a higher perspective of outside of the 3D, that's where I'm coming from. So if you're here, say hi, let me know you're here. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear your opinions of what's going on over there in the United States with all the truth coming out. I want to hear what you think and how it's affecting you in the country that you're in, and get your perspective. Let me put a poll in here because polls are fun. Let's see. I don't know. Can I do that now? I don't know if I can do that. Start a poll. Okay. I'm just creating a poll, and I want to hear how the truth reveal is affecting your country. How's it impacting your country? Like, what's going on? So, let's see. There you go. Let's just have a fun little poll. See if it's affecting you where you are, because I'm seeing comments from other world leaders, like comments or news stories from other world leaders about how this truth reveal and the way things are happening in the United States is impacting their countries. And I would imagine that any country watching what's going on in the United States has got to be shaking in their boots, because the people are watching what Trump and his administration are doing. And it is revolutionary what is happening over there. And the people who are seeing all of this truth come out after decades, if not centuries, of suppression and lies and keeping all of this information from the people when they're supposed to be partly part of the people, representing the people. There shouldn't be any secrecy. There shouldn't be any lies. There shouldn't be any hiding all of this stuff, conspiracies. And so for the people around the world to see this, I would imagine most people are going to want this in their own country. They're going to want some kind of exposure or truth revelation or honesty and transparency. I mean, yeah, let me know in the comments if you're here. I'd love to hear what's going on in your area and what you're seeing. And do you like what you see? What specifically are you seeing anything happening or what's happening? Do you like specific things about what you see happening in the US, or are there certain things that you're a little bit wary about? Because I think one of the biggest, not the biggest, but one of the biggest truth reveals that people in the truth camp or conspiracy world are excited about is the JFK files, but also 9/11, COVID, all of that. That is something that a lot of people want to know about. And I'm curious to see what their official word is. But from my perspective, it's all a story anyway. So regardless of what they say is the official story, it's just a movie anyway. But the thing is that a lot of people are going to take this official story that the government says, point a finger to it, say, well, this is the official story, so I don't care what you have to say. And it's like, but that's the official story from a 3D perspective. So we're trying to move out of the 3D perspective, out of the physical, out of what you believe to be true about this world. That's my perspective, that I'm trying to encourage people to view the world through that lens, because we don't live in a 3D world. It is a story, it is a movie, and trying to get that perspective will free you from it. So if you're here, say hi, let me know you're here. I'd love to know who's watching. So that's one big thing that's happened this past week, is the announcement of this committee that's going to be revealing the truth behind those conspiracies. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun. The other thing that was announced yesterday was the Fort Knox, and how Doge is now going to audit Fort Knox to see if the gold is actually there. And I doubt it. I doubt that there's any gold in there. But my position on that too is that gold is not really of value, in the sense that the dollar is not pegged to gold. I don't see why it should be, because it's a story they told us that gold does have intrinsic value, in the sense that it's got benefits, health benefits, etc. Hey, Mark, there's absolutely no gold in there. Coco, did you see the new White Lotus season 3 trailer? I did watch it, yes. So yeah, like to say that, first of all, like the dollar hasn't been attached to gold since the 70s. So why would there be any gold in there anyway? Second, we're the ones who give gold its value. We place value on it as a 3D object and say this is what is of value that we can use to trade. But instead of carrying around gold bars, we trade with paper money that we assign a value to, and we give it value. We say that this $50 piece of paper is worth more than this $20 piece of paper, and we agree on that. But it's all just a promissory note to say that this is worth this much. And we are the ones that put value on it. It's our perception that has the value. But we need the money for the system that we live in, for the game that we're playing. And so it's a necessary part of the game until we learn to transcend that scarcity model and realize we don't actually need it. But at the moment, we need it. So it'll be interesting to see what's actually in there, if anything. Gold is the best conductor of electricity. Yeah, exactly. Like, it has physical benefits and attributes for sure. What should we think if they present gold to us? Sorry, what do you mean by that, Mark C? New. All I see in the UK is the 1984 Brave New World scenario on steroids. So I've sold up and heading to Southeast Asia in 3 weeks. Not from fear, but a knowing I will grab my popcorn when I'm there. Sorry to hear that, because I'm originally from England, and I have a lot of affection for England, and I used to go there regularly all the time, and my family is still there. But the last time I was there was almost 20 years ago, and it was unrecognizable to me then. So I can only imagine what it's like now, based off of what I see on the news and videos and hear from people who are living there. So to hear that it's so bad that you have to leave is heartbreaking. But I wish you well in your new home, and I hope that it is a happy place for you. And 3 weeks is a very short period of time, so that's exciting. Coco, money is like the moon, hence it has a currency, a current by the riverbank, a bank. Moon controls the flow of water. Indeed, absolutely. Yep. Mark, well, if they present that there is actually gold in Fort Knox. Oh, okay. I don't know what to say about that. I mean, there's supposed to be, so maybe there is, but it's still not going to be enough to support the amount of money that's available. They've been printing dollars for a very long time, and they especially started printing money like crazy since 2020. And this is alleged. That's what I have heard and what I've seen. So, that's what I have come to understand. I have to make sure that it's clear. But yeah, and then there's also the money that's been printed through crypto, which is using Tether. That's another issue. So yeah, there's going to have to be some kind of shakeout financially with what do we actually base value on. And from my perspective, to put value on like a physical thing is erroneous. The value is in us. We are the value. So even if you're charging the money, the paper money, with value, like in terms of we agree on it having value, that's perfectly fine. It's just the value comes from us and who we are. We are the value. So in the future, I think the way that things are going to operate is it's going to acknowledge that we are the value, and it's going to celebrate that. So I don't think that there's going to be like a negative fallout from all of this. I think it's going to be a positive fallout, and I don't support like doomsdayers or anything like that. I think that's just a negative fear perspective. And if they see it that way, it'll be that kind of experience for them. But if you understand what's really going on from a higher level, from a story level, and you really understand that this is a necessary part of the process, so there is no negative result. Some things have to go in order for new things to take its place. New, isn't XRP supposed to be backed by gold on March 20th? I have heard something about that, but I'm kind of surprised because that's the first that I've heard of XRP being backed by gold, I think. But it's their decision if they want to do that. To me, it just doesn't really matter. It's a story that they've told the people that we need it to be backed by gold. If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. That's what they're going to do. Bubscat, hey. The moon controls nothing. Sodium and water is conductive. Tides are salt-based. Okay, interesting. I don't know enough about it to say either way. They do tell us that the moon controls the tides, but who knows? Coco, apparently the Anunnaki needed gold for their ships. Yeah, the Anunnaki needed gold from what I understand, they needed gold for repairing the atmosphere. It was like a barrier that they needed the gold for, but the true gold they came here to mine is your authenticity. So that's the true gold, our true value. So that's really what the story is about. But again, it is an allegory. So you can also see it as a somewhat literal, that they came here to mine gold physically, or they came here to mine money. So, we have like this new digital world system that we're building, like blockchain, and also the metaverse, and that's another form of mining gold. So people are in there trying to earn money from participating in the metaverse and that sort of thing. So it's the same sort of idea. So yeah, you can see it both ways. I agree the value, incoming value is XRP. I agree. Yeah, XRP is everything's going to run off of XRP, off Ripple. I agree. The value is inside of us. Love is the true value. Absolutely, Mark. Coco, I heard there's gold in everything. Okay, that's interesting. Coco, water and the moon are connected. They say the white light at the end of the tunnel is the moon, and the reason it shimmers is because the outside world contains water. Okay, that's interesting. But yeah, like I do think that the moon and water are connected. They're connected in multiple ways. The moon is associated with emotions, and water's associated with emotions and Cancer, and so there's connections to the moon and water, and also water is subconscious, so, and it's truth. So all of those things are connected through the moon. The story of gold-backed XRP will help steer people's emotions to be more steady for investment. There seems to be a bigger game at play regarding XRP. That's a very good point. Yeah, because like you say, if we're trying to get, people who are accustomed to the old system and 3D mindset, scarcity mindset, they're going to feel more secure in migrating to a new system if they know that it's stable and it's backed by something, especially if they're told, well, the old system isn't stable because it's not backed by anything, which is another reason why I think there's nothing in Fort Knox, because they're going to reveal to the people that the money is not stable. It's not backed by anything. There's not even any gold in there, or, something like that is a possibility. I could be wrong. They could find gold in there and they could say, well, our money's not backed by this. There's not enough gold that's substantiating the amount of money that we have. So we're going to use this gold to back XRP. And that's our new financial system, because our current currency is unstable, and this is why. And so that could be another possibility. Oh, this poll is shaping up. Is the truth revealed by Trump and Elon impacting your country? 30% say I don't see anything, but I hope so. 20% say it's changing things in my country. And 50% say it's fun to watch. So, If the moon controls the water, it also controls humans since we are 70% water. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Or more so flows humans as water flows through us, like waves, sound waves, water waves. Music itself is made of waves. That's why we dance when we listen to music. For sure, like everything is made out of waves. Everything is a wave. Light's a wave. Sound is a wave. Everything is frequency, right? It's connecting to the song of the universe, the one song. Everything flows and vibrations create everything. The cosmic ocean is what it's called, for sure. Well, yeah, like water is a very important element in this world. So I agree with what you were saying, for sure. Water in the 3D represents the great divine mother. Indeed, yeah. Yeah, it's feminine. And water, feminine. Earth is feminine too. So, yeah, like the stuff that's going on in America right now is, to me, is exciting. Every day I'm addicted to Twitter. I'm looking at what's going on over there and I'm excited. Like every day there's some massive story. And it's not just once a day, it's multiple times a day. And it's exciting to see this kind of action and transparency. I mean, this is ultimate transparency. And the reason for this is because blockchain is transparent. So the people are participating in it too, which I think is why Elon bought Twitter, because Twitter is facilitating the interaction between the government and the people. And also Trump has Truth Social, or he did, it's not his anymore, but he has Truth Social, he has YouTube, he's on Twitter, he's interacting with the people, which is the way it should be. Our government ought to be, if we're going to have a government, they ought to be within reach. We ought to be able to contact them immediately and have them interact with us, at least on some level. Whereas the old system, or I guess it's the old system now, you couldn't contact the prime minister. Like, I'm in Canada, you can't contact the prime minister. You could call him, but you're going to get all this red tape, all this like workaround. You'll never get a hold of him personally. And you're supposed to contact your local MP and they don't care. They won't return your call. You're supposed to be able to email them. They don't care. I mean, I've contacted them. They don't care. And so it's like, what good is it if you're contacting your local MP or your local MPP and they don't care and they don't respond and they don't do anything? How do you know that what you're contacting them about is actually being raised to the right people and dealt with, or even entertained or looked at? And granted, I know there are a lot of people who have stupid things to say that are pointless and not worth looking at. You have that too. So I can understand why that has to have some sort of gateway. But if you have some sort of legitimate problem, there has to be a better way of communicating that with the government. And right now, what we're seeing with the situation in America is people are tweeting Elon and Trump directly and getting a response. Now, granted, these people, I don't know who they are. Some of them could actually be in the government and some of them could actually be adjacent to the government so that they could actually give the impression that they're everyday people. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know who they are. But they're from what I saw, somebody tweeted Elon about the Fort Knox thing and said, "Hey, go check it out." And Elon's like, "What, don't they audit it every year?" And they're like, "No." So now they're going to go check it out. And like the immediacy of how they're on it right away is fun and exciting and unprecedented, with all the previous red tape situation we have to go through to get anything done, to get anything looked at. And now you're like tweeting them and they're on it the next day. That's just ridiculous in a positive way. So where are we here? There's also the water of manifestation. Indeed, Coco. I'm trying to ignore politics, but politics finds me. I'm always hearing from people about what's happening in the world. So what are you hearing, Coco? Tell us, because I was the least political person. I could care less about politics. It bored me to tears. But now this is exciting. It's fun. It's interactive. It has immediate results. You can see them taking action in a positive direction, and I'm enjoying it. I am enjoying the change because this is what we waited for. Years ago, 2017, 2018, we were all expecting something big, right? And we thought COVID was it. We thought COVID was the catalyst to bring it all down. No, it was part of it, but this is the thing that we have been waiting for. This is the change we have been waiting for, and it is exciting. And whether it's all sunshine and rainbows is not the point. It's not the point, like where it's all positive and everything is great and everything goes well. It's not the point. The point is that this has to happen to do away with the old corrupt system, and it was corrupt on purpose because we need to go through this transformation for the new world to come into place. And this is what is happening now. So that's why it's exciting. And anybody getting caught up in semantics or like fear about, oh well, this about Trump or that about Trump, or leftist mentality, you're not getting the point. So I understand it all as part of the story and is facilitating the story, providing the counterbalance of the us versus them and the red versus blue. Okay, I get it, but you want to try extract it, get out of the duality mindset and see it from a higher perspective, and then you can enjoy it, because this is the world going through a massive transformation right in front of your eyes, and it's what we came here to see. It's what we came here to be a part of, and to see all of these people participating in it, digging up stories, digging up truth, finding information, participating in it, and creating databases or creating information connections, sharing information, all of that upheaval and that truth exposure and the people participating in it is the most exciting part. And also doing that hand in hand with people like Trump and Elon, whatever you think about them is irrelevant. People participating in it hand in hand with the government officials is proving the flip-flop that I've been talking about for years, and showing how we're moving away from power in the hands of a few to power in the hands of the people, and making it about the people and putting the power back in us. So this is where the value is, remember, like we were talking about earlier. So where are we at? Mark C. If they reveal that Fort Knox is empty, it could create a narrative shift that will create a critical mass view shift regarding the credibility of the U.S. to be a world leader. Yeah, that's a possibility too. But then, like, well, what about all the other countries? What is their what is their money backed by? What are they basing their finances on? Because from what I understand, they moved the backing of the dollar away from gold in the 70s to basically the GDP, the gross domestic product of the country, which to me makes more sense anyway. Why would you want to hoard around piles of gold and say that that's all the money that you have at all? Plus, like, we've got all of this inflation that they keep throwing at us, which doesn't make any sense to me either. Inflation is nonsense. It shouldn't happen. And we're constantly trying to keep up with this ridiculous inflation, and having our salaries go up, and then our cost of living go up, and the cost of housing go up. And it's like a competition between trying to keep up with the cost of goods or the cost of living through the pay rises that employers have to give us, and they're struggling to keep up because now their costs and their outgoing costs are more money. So how are they going to convince people to spend more money on their products, because they have to get that back somewhere else? And it's this constant one-upmanship in a sense, because we're constantly having to keep up with this illusion of inflation, which is nonsense. I believe this politics is more similar to smoke and mirrors. For example, the left versus the left versus the right brain. Trump is a trumpet of revelations to reveal, not the end of the world. Trump is also seen as orange instead of red. I heard like a whole argument about how Trump is sexist from a man and a woman saying he's not, and he's what the people want. Yeah, it's totally, it's part of the catalyst of the upheaval, right? I mean, obviously, it is smoke and mirrors. It is an illusion of duality and an illusion of opposites. You've got the red versus blue, left versus right, and it's fairly obvious to us because we're aware of that. But to mainstreamers, it's not obvious. But it's got to happen. It's got to be exposed and brought to light. And to me, Trump is more in the middle. He's not red. He's more green in the middle. So like you say, like he's orange, but he's more in the middle than he is red. And in the middle is green, not blue or red. So I know that color isn't associated with him, but gold is. Gold is associated with Trump. And so gold is the middle as well. Also in Britain, I heard Andrew Tate wants to run to get rid of Muslim immigration, while the born in Britain politicians want to do the opposite, which is funny. Isn't he Muslim? Isn't Andrew Tate Muslim now? Like, why is he trying to rid England of Muslim immigration if he's Muslim? I don't get it. No one pointed out that shouldn't Andrew Tate, the Muslim, support the That's what I just said. I didn't even see your comment there. What do you see in place of money for another type of system? Well, the new system is going to be crypto, but ultimately we don't need money. We just think we need money because we have a scarcity mindset. But if you move into true abundance, you don't need money. So money is just a physical representation of the energy exchange. And for now, we need it. But if you are able to transcend the physical reality, you don't need money. So you don't even observe money as it's the way that you view money. You don't observe it as something that you need. You're able to manifest everything that you want as and when you need it. And therefore, you don't put any value on obtaining money or working for money or earning money. It doesn't mean that you don't have money or don't need money. It's that you're not attached to it the way that we are in a scarcity model, where we are slaving away 40 hours a day, 5 days a week for the whole year to earn a living at a job we hate because we feel that that's all that matters, where we put money as the God of our existence. We understand that we are the God and that money is just a material form of that energy. So we don't have that sense of importance on it or that need for it. And that sense of abundance, we recognize that that sense of abundance can come in all forms, not just money. And a lot of people have a long way to go to get out of that mindset. And that scarcity mindset is very prevalent, especially difficult to operate in an abundance mindset while everybody else is in a scarcity mindset. Trying to work the balance is also very difficult. And, I talked about this ages ago. I think it was 2018. I talked about not needing money. And, like the the scarcity mindset kicks in because everybody worships money, and it's a very narcissistic perspective, having such a heavy attachment to money, putting your value into money, and that your worth is based on how much money you have. No, your worth is in the kind of person you are. Your worth is in who you are. It's not in your bank account, and it's not in the number of assets that you have. So understanding and recognizing that shift and moving away from this attachment to money and what we think it means to have a lot of money. There's nothing wrong with having a lot of money or a lot of things. And maybe you go through life where there's a certain time in your life where you need a lot of things because of the type of work you do, or you just like things. There's nothing wrong with liking things. And then other times you just don't want things. So you let go of all of it and you're fine with being borderline poor. So poor is just a state of mind. If you think that you're poor, then you can be poor and have millions of dollars in the bank. You can be rich and have nothing in the bank. So it's a state of mind. And we have to change our perception for the new world. A lot of people are terrified to let go of their hold on money, and they hear things like, well, we don't need money, and they don't understand that. They can't wrap their head around it, and they fight to defend it. They argue for it. They say, well, I don't want to have to do everything myself. Nobody said that you would have to. And it's because you're coming at it from a 3D perspective. They can't comprehend a world without money. They can't wrap their head around any other paradigm other than the one they're accustomed to. And if they start to see things outside of the one they're accustomed to, their whole world falls apart. And that's terrifying. And, this is the same with any truth that shatters the existing paradigm that you're accustomed to. You're going to have to be willing to let that go. And if you're not willing to let it go, you're going to get left behind. That's all there is to it. In ancient times, money was second to charity. Charity did more than the reward of wealth. That's why small, close-knit communities hand homeless and have zero homeless and a lot happier people. Well, yeah, I don't. It depends on what you mean by charity, because I don't think you're talking about people putting money into charities. I think you're talking about basically barter. You help people out in your community, and you give of yourself to help people out, and they give of themselves to help you out, which is basically just being neighborly. So in that sense, you have to also trust that people are good and going to reciprocate. And a lot of people are fearful, and the scarcity mindset of this greed of what's mine is mine and yours is yours, and this sense of entitlement, and also stealing from each other or having to protect your stuff. Like, that's all got to go, which a lot of people are going to have a hard time with, because it's the old mindset. So yeah, you're going to have, if you have a sense of community, which Americans have a hard time with because they see sense of community as communism, and you're going to have to let go of this sense of like competitiveness and capitalism, and being able to come together and support one another, which is a lot of Americans have a hard time with that, because they're accustomed to their paradigm of being proud to pay taxes, which is being dismantled as we speak. The Americans, Trump and Elon and other politicians in the United States are talking about abolishing property tax, abolishing income tax. So, that used to be part of an American identity. I'm a proud tax-paying American. Okay, so now what are you without that identity? Like, now they're showing how their taxes have been misappropriated. So that's no longer a badge of honor to be a tax-paying American. And that's going to be a hit to the ego. So what are you now? So yeah, all of this is not just affecting the country in a sort of governmental way. it's affecting people in an individual way, and it's affecting them in how they view the world and how they view their own country and how they view themselves and how they live their lives. So there's a lot of things that are coming as a result of this exposure. New, it seems that to power crypto and to have coins, one will need to exert energy as usual. The best way would be one's potent sexual energy in however that takes form. Can you explain what you mean by that? Because I'm not sure what you mean. Mark C, we can't get rid of the mathematical containment that creates the energetic current unless we replace it with loving energy. Love is selfless. That's how high energy we have to get collectively. I kind of disagree that love is selfless, because I think you need to be selfish first to invest in yourself and take care of yourself, to love yourself. And I don't mean selfish in a sense that you are hurtful to other people, but you look after yourself and you put yourself first, because there's nothing for you to give if you don't invest in yourself. That love has to be generated from within. So to be selfless in the traditional sense, so I'm not sure if this is what you mean by selfless, is detrimental to your well-being, and it depletes your energy. So that's not love. You're giving too much of yourself. You have no boundaries. You just pour out. You're going to be depleted, and you need to invest in yourself. You need to pour into yourself, and then you have everything to give. So love ought to be selfish first, in a positive sense, right? Not in a I'm just going to do what's best for me. It's kind of like from Beautiful Mind, John Nash's game theory, what's best for you and the group, not just what's best for you. You want to do what's best for you in terms of taking care of yourself and looking after your own needs, and keeping the best interests of the group in mind as well, so that you're not hurting other people or stealing from other people, because you might perceive it as being best for you if you take from someone else, but that's not really the best for you, because you could end up causing harm to yourself and you're also causing harm to somebody else. So that's not really the best for you, but you might perceive it that way. So you want to invest that love energy in yourself first. I'm also believing certain humans, if they do internal work, affect all of the external. It was never about arguing with the material. That's like arguing with dream characters. Oh, it's a response to Mark C, by the way. Yes, if you're doing the internal work, it does absolutely affect the external, like the entirety of the external. And yeah, you're again, that's investing in yourself, right? So being selfless, you would consider that you would be giving to other people all of the time, right? But that's not beneficial to you. You have to take care of yourself. You have to heal yourself. You have to do the inner work. You have to go on your own truth journey. That is the best thing that you can do for everyone. Because if you are healed and you are loving yourself, then that's going to emanate from you, and that's going to radiate from you. And then that's going to benefit everyone around you just from you being there. And that's the true value of it, right? So being selfless, I see as a complete negative, but I'm open to hearing other interpretations. So looking forward to the no money realm, as long as it's not the you will own nothing and be happy scenario. I can understand your perspective for sure, but the you will own nothing scenario is kind of a fear tactic representation of Christ consciousness, because when you're in Christ consciousness, you have no attachment to anything in the 3D. You appreciate it. There's a difference. You appreciate the things in the 3D, but you're not attached to them. You don't need them. And you know that they have this transient quality, so they can come and go. So you appreciate them while they are here. You make use of them while they are here. And then if it's time for them to go, then you welcome their departure because you no longer need that in your life. And it just flows effortlessly. And you have no need to own anything because you don't own anything anyway, really. But at the same time, the reverse is true, the paradox. You own everything because everything is you. So in that sense, it's a reflection of the Christ consciousness truth. But if you can interpret it also in a negative sense of you will own nothing, basically everything will be rented, or in like the 3D physical sense of how that would manifest in a sort of negative way that you really wouldn't like. Doing the internal work is paramount in these times. Self-realization to know one is eternal allows the heart to open fully. Once people's hearts are open and have no fear, then a complete game changer. Totally agree. Yeah. And, this is, again, going back to filling yourself up with love, because when you are full of love, then you don't need those barriers as much, because you're able to recognize that those experiences either no longer come into your experience, the negative ones that you have to defend yourself against, or you don't entertain them the way that you used to, because you know what they are and you recognize what they are, and you just protect your energy without being defensive. You're able to protect your energy just knowing who you are and understanding where the other person is, if they're projecting this negative energy or trying to attack you or whatever. So yeah, like it will be a total game changer, because that fear and scarcity isn't going to be there anymore. And we're going to recognize that we are the value. So we're not clinging to anything. We're not like protecting our stuff, and we're not like greedy or envious of other people of what they have, because there's this sort of understanding that, well, what's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. But we have a long way to go before we can get there, because a lot of people are still going to be protective of their stuff. And, it's going to accelerate rapidly, but there's also a lot of different ways that you can view that. This sort of understanding that you don't need to attach yourself to physical 3D things. I mean, if you can manifest stuff out of thin air, why would you be attached to anything 3D? There's no need. You understand that I am everything and I can have everything, and you can manifest whatever it is you need whenever you need it. You have zero attachment to the 3D because A, it loses its value, and B, it's always going to be there when you need it. So you don't rely on anybody else to give you things or provide anything, because you're the one who's the creator of it all. So hopefully that comes quickly. Hopefully we can get there really fast. Coco, for example, this world, forest fires, planes crashing, economic disasters, inflation, wars, weird new insects like ticks, diseases, all these manifested by belief. Confusion causes fear. Fear creates hate. The world itself has followed this process. Hate then leads to suffering, and then to overcome suffering as it's just an illusion. Yeah, I'm seeing that this is a continuation of a previous comment. So I'm not really clear on what that's about. But yeah, like it sounds like you're talking about the perpetual cycle of fear manifesting fearful things, and then you focus on the fearful things and you manifest more fearful things because you're in fear. Mark C. Well, you can invest love into everything, starting with yourself. However, you must be cognizant that your best self isn't built from the expense of someone else. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. Like, you can't, being selfish and investing in yourself is the most loving thing you can do. But that doesn't mean being selfish isn't about doing something to hurt other people and in a greedy or negative way. It is looking after yourself. It is taking care of yourself. It is looking after your needs. It is loving yourself. So yeah, you don't want to do anything at the expense of someone else. You also can't fake love, which is a mistake. You can say you love yourself, but always be critical of yourself, which isn't love. It's also a feeling, for sure. Self-love. I think one of the other things is this touches on the sort of love and light idea that we have to be positive and happy all of the time, which you don't. You're allowed to feel what you feel, but the more you focus on self-love and getting into the higher frequencies, then the less you need to feel those lower emotions. So that's what happens naturally. I think a lot of people try to bypass, it's what people call spiritual bypassing. They try to bypass that process by just jumping into the state of love and light, and they negate or suppress their negative emotions because they believe that it's wrong to have them, but you need to process them, because if you don't and you suppress them, they're going to come out somewhere else. And if you're suppressing these negative emotions enough, they'll come out in illness, they'll come out in rage, there'll be really negative consequences. You have to deal with them. You can't just jump to love and light and ignore everything. Now, there are some people who can, let's say, just jump to that, but they're not ignoring. They're accepting themselves as a whole, and they're able to jump to that. I've never heard of it, but I'm also not going to negate that that's a possibility, because depending on how powerful you are in this process and law of assumption, it's a possibility. But for most people, most of us have negative emotions. Most of us have negative thoughts that we have to process and look at and move past. And then as you get better at it, you may be able to jump. But in the very beginning, when you're stuck in 3D mindset, you have to deal with all of that stuff, which is the inner work. And a lot of people don't want to do that because it's a painful process, which is understandable, but it does free you. And yeah, that's, you don't want to go to the spiritual bypassing situation where you're just trying to mask your true feelings. You have to be authentic. You don't want to fake it. You don't want to pretend. If you're feeling something and you're not authentic about it, like say you don't like something, and you put on a brave face, or like, that's not truth. That's not self-love. That's not loving other people either. If you're putting on a brave face and lying to people, that's inauthenticity. You're not being truthful about how you feel, and you're not tending to yourself, and you're basically abandoning yourself. If you're not being truthful to yourself about how you feel about a certain situation, and you put on a happy mask to get along with people just to not have any conflict, that's not love. That's not self-love. That's not self-respect. That's not tending to your own needs. It's self-abandonment, and you're lying to people. So it's negative all around. So this, it's kind of like a people-pleasing mentality, and has to be dealt with. So I own nothing now, a suitcase and a backpack, sold and gave away everything the last 4 months. I have total trust and guidance to head out with no real plan and follow my heart. That's awesome. I don't advise it, but it's awesome that you can do that. Look, like I said, whatever is right for you, because some people will not want to have anything and they'll be totally fine with that. Whereas other people will want to have a lot of things, and that's totally fine too. You don't need to get rid of everything, and you don't need to have loads of stuff just because other people do. You have to do what's right for you, what suits you, what suits your lifestyle and your needs at the moment. Like, for example, for me, that lifestyle would not suit me because I need to have this set up here, first of all, in order to facilitate my channel and talking to all of you. But I also need to have my comforts. I've been in a position where I don't have much, and I've done all of that, and I don't like it anymore. It's not for me anymore. And we can all go through those phases and see what it's like and have that experience. And maybe you'll come to a point in your life where you enjoy it for now, but then maybe later you're like, okay, enough already. I need some stability and I need to have some stuff around me, and I'm tired of not having anything. And that's totally fine too. So, but this idea that poverty is not spirituality. You don't need to be poor. You shouldn't be poor. You should have a mentality of abundance. And whether you actually have material stuff or not should be irrelevant, because you're constantly in a state of abundance. So regardless of what the 3D looks like in terms of physical stuff is irrelevant, because you always have exactly what you need for what you need to do when you need to do it. And you don't need any extra stuff, right? Oh, Mark, at Coco, I had a breakdown at 20. I'm 56 now. The first 20 years of my life were built by a mother who built me as a servant with no right to self. Self-love was fought for after 20. In my case, I lived the self-hatred for a long time. I got cancer at 49, and that was stage 4. That is when I went to a better level for myself. I'm just now really learning about the ideas that we're being discussed here. Oh, thanks for sharing, Mark. I think you told us before about your story. And a lot of people have a very similar kind of story where the childhood situation has developed into some kind of illness because it's basically suppressed your system. Let's just say system. And it's there to guide you into healing, into dealing with that issue that caused it in the first place. And if you don't deal with it early on, it will fester and become an illness, or it will become something else, which is what we were talking about earlier, about how if you bypass it and try to be fake nice, it's going to manifest in some kind of illness, because it's got to come out somewhere. It's there to tell you something's wrong. And so, yeah, in that situation, if you have someone who is mistreating you, and you have to find your voice and you have to stand up for yourself, and you have to tend to your needs, and you have to make sure that you're looking after yourself and find that self-love, then that's going to be a beacon for you to say, hello, I'm in here and I need some attention and I need some help. And you're the only one who can give it to me. And you have to deal with that. So, kudos to you for recognizing it and treating it and solving it, especially at stage 4. That's something to be proud of. Absolutely. I mean, that's something that you should probably be most proud of, because it's very hard. A lot of people can't do that. Coco, they say in some occult knowledge that the mother is your heart and your father is your brain. Imagine a child that is new to the world, but what he believes impacts their life. It can be tough. Absolutely. You were born to your parents for a reason. They're here to show you something you need to work on. They're here to basically map out your story to create that story through trauma. And all of us have some sort of trauma or heartbreak. Heartbreak is really trauma. So regardless of the intensity of it, some of us have it worse than others. And some of us have a very mild case, relatively speaking, because we have different things to heal and different things to attend to and different things to deal with. We're not all the same, and we're not all going to have the same story. And also, some people, I've talked about this in my podcast as well as other videos, where if you have some extreme case of extreme trauma, that will catapult you further along in your journey, because the need to attend to that is urgent. And if you don't, then it will lead to your demise and your ultimate reincarnation to come back here. So some people may ask for that experience but can't handle it, and so they exit, and then they realize, oh, okay, I get it. I was supposed to deal with that, and now I get it. I'm going to come back and do it again. So, we all have different things to resolve, and just because your trauma might be worse than others doesn't diminish the fact that they still have trauma, and everybody's trauma is part of their journey, part of their story, and something they have to work on. So it's not really a competition. It's just your journey. It's personal to you. New, we are love itself, built from love. It's all about love. It'll always be about love. Every action stems from love. Even when it's really messy, it's still love. Totally agree with you 100%. Absolutely. Even when it doesn't look like love, it's still love. Even when the absence of love is still love. So yeah, it's difficult sometimes for people to recognize that, but you have to get to the place where you can see that even the flip side of what you perceive to be love is still love. So all of it is here to bring us back to love. Mark C. Coco. So I just now am realizing and really learning about the ideas. Oh, I already read that. To heal, all one needs to do is to remove programs and beliefs. It's quite simple to do, but most dismiss the simplicity as we have been programmed that everything needs to be complicated, new. I agree. And the hard part, though, is recognizing the beliefs and looking at them, because sometimes we think it's going to be scary, and when we look at it, it's not. Pardon the noise in the hallway. So yeah, I think the scary part or the hard part is actually looking at it and reprogramming those beliefs. I think once you look at them and recognize them for what they are, you demystify and you break the spell, and you're able to move past them. And then, in a lot of ways it can become fun, but some of them can be kind of painful to acknowledge. And then, I also feel like you can get to a point where you get tired of hunting for all of these beliefs, these limiting beliefs, and you don't have to hunt for all of them. You just have to find the biggest ones, the ones that are holding you back in life, the ones that are most debilitating and preventing you from receiving and giving love. That's the most important, because you could be here all day, every day, finding limited beliefs about everything. And that's not the game. The game is to move past the 3D, move past fear and into love. Rod, hello. I'm conservative, but I can tell you the divide between the left and the right is getting even larger. The Trump hate by the left is unreal. Yeah. I wanted to talk about that a little bit because The stuff I see on Twitter, I think a lot of it must be bots because there's no way that real people are that stupid. Some of the things that these people say are require such mental gymnastics to even conceive of, let alone say and believe, that it has to be computer generated, like some sort of program that's put forward to say, okay, whatever the right says, warp it so that it suits this narrative. And that's what they put out. Because some of the stuff is outrageous. It hurts my head to read it. And then to try to comprehend that somebody actually believes it, I can't do it. It hurts too much. But some people, they actually believe some of this stuff. Like the mainstream media, the garbage they put out, the people who are supporting the left with their absolute nonsense, it's like, it's brain rot. Like the outright lies and self-deception that is required for them to have this perception. And I actually think my mom put it best. It's like they have this ideology, and it doesn't matter what they see on the right, they will warp it to fit their ideology, because that's the only thing that matters. The only thing that matters is Trump is bad, and this is why, because he's the orange evil man who is out to destroy democracy. All of the narratives that have been pumped into them from the media, that's all they regurgitate, and they have to back it up, because if they don't, then their whole paradigm falls apart. Everything they've been protesting and arguing against and crying about and whining about falls apart. And then they have to actually look at themselves and take accountability, and they have to actually admit they were wrong. And that's really hard for these people, because they're living in a narcissistic mindset. Whether they're actual NPD or not is relevant. Their narcissistic mindset is pointing the blame externally, and they need an evil demon, and that's Trump and Elon as well. And it doesn't matter what they do. It, like the fact that they're exposing all the corruption that they're exposing in the US, and their argument is, oh, look at all the poor people losing their jobs. And it's not, oh my God, look at all the money they're wasting of my taxpaying money. That in itself is the most inane thing. I don't understand how they could possibly look at that and believe that the sad part about it all is that people are losing their jobs. These people who shouldn't have had the jobs in the first place, the people who are stealing your tax-paying money, the people who are stealing it and giving it illegally to other people. Oh, their argument is it's not illegal. Just because you don't agree with it is not illegal. It's like, no, it is illegal. It's illegal what they are doing. The setup, it's fraud, it's corrupt, it's illegal, and it's being exposed. And you saying that it's okay because they're government officials does not make it legal. I don't understand these people. And then they're arguing to defend as well the judicial system, preventing Trump from exercising his executive authority as the president with blocking things that are actually Trump. What Trump is doing is legal, defending the law. That's his job. What these people are doing is illegal in blocking him from defending the law and protecting the law or enforcing the law. It's like they are doing the illegal action, and then the lefties are defending the judges for taking action to prevent him, because they're viewing it as government overreach, and their job is to prevent government overreach. Well, if it was legal, then they wouldn't be doing anything in the first place. But because they're trying to prevent all this illegal activity, then the judges interfering is illegal. I mean, it's just mental. It's totally mental. Where are we? Mark C., thank you for saying kind things about my life's work. It was a very difficult life. It's nice to see that the work was worth it. Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. No problem. I mean, I think that it needs to be recognized, because it is a very hard thing to do. And I think a lot of people, especially when you're going through your journey and it's just part of your story, we don't fully appreciate how hard it is. And so I don't know if I just wanted to point out that you should be very proud of that as an accomplishment, probably one of your most important accomplishments in your life. And anybody else going through a similar thing should recognize that too, because those things often get overlooked. It's just so common that we have illnesses and such, but the fact that you overcame that is really important. So, yeah, I finally felt like I did what I was supposed to do for myself in this lifetime. Well, that's awesome. I think you should go celebrate again because that is a huge accomplishment, and it's what we're here for. And if we don't celebrate these things, who else is going to? Because nobody else knows the power of what you've accomplished. So if you haven't already celebrated that, go out and celebrate it again. Mark C. Fear is determined by the physical body or idea of it. Hunger, harm, age, decay, all material atoms themselves are impacted by waves. Waves are impacted by thought. It's important to follow your heart. Coco. Coco, on Twitter, it's not bots. Those humans themselves are bots. I think it's part both. I think some of them are bots and some of them are humans or are acting like bots, for sure. Marksy, I don't know if you're correct about people not being able to be that stupid. One thing that I've learned is that everything is possible. Yeah, thanks, Mark. I know. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit because, like, I just can't fathom people are that dumb. I just can't. I mean, people say dumb things, but these people have got to be like super dumb. Honestly. Coco, AI was a manifestation to tell us that what we see online is more fake than you would believe. It's also a manifestation of source. It's a replication of source energy. So it's like a physical presentation of that to remind us of who we are and where we came from and what we're in. If you want to know what a person or persona in your life purpose is, look up the meaning of their name, then look up their gematria. It will mirror how they react to you. What do you mean by mirror how they react to you? You're talking about the one story in the sense that they play a role in your life and they're there to shine something back to you, reflect something back to you. They're there to play a role in your story, and you can determine what that role is. And I think too, like, there's symbolism that will appear around them that will show you who they are. It's not always easy to see all of that though. So, well, anyway, any final comments before I wrap this up? But if you are enjoying this chat, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. And if you are so inclined and you want to support this channel, you can become a member. You can put a contribution forward through PayPal or Stripe. There's links below in the description box on any of my videos or on my main banner. And lots of exciting things happening in the members section. So yeah, if you really like this work and you like my channel, then you should become a member and join the discussion there. So the end of the poll, we have still 30%. I don't see anything, but I hope so. 20% is changing things in my country, and 50% is fun to watch. So thanks for participating in the poll. Is the truth reveal by Trump and Elon impacting your country? So there's no more subjects from that. All right. Thanks, everybody. hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you next week. I appreciate you participating. It's really great to talk to you all. You guys had some really great contributions and awesome comments, and appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye, everybody.